Most traders lose on gold because they enter without a model. This is my step-by-step entry framework for trading gold correctly. Let's go into the chart. Okay, my name is Wasku Smart, and this is my entry framework for trading gold correctly. Okay, this is the gold chart here. I just want to show you what the last entry pattern I saw on gold. That last week, and that will be on the that's on the 30th of December 2025. Okay, the first thing when it comes to trading of gold, you need to understand something called the bias, which means that the bias is the formula for the bias is draw or liquidity times or plus direction. So which means understanding the bias is you understanding where there is liquidity in the market. That's the first thing you need to do before entering anything on gold. You need to know the bias of the market, because when it comes to gold, gold is so volatile, and that's why a lot of people trade gold. It's so volatile. If you make a mistake, it's going to tell you by giving you a lose, and when it goes gives you a lose, it means it's going to show account your account balance, your equity. You understand? So gold is very volatile. One thing you need to first understand is the bias. Where is market drawing to? Okay, as ICT once said that market draw towards two things. The first one is the liquidity, and the second one is the imbalance, the fair value gap. So, and when it comes to gold, for the years I've used studying gold, I've seen that gold also go toward these two things: the liquidity or the fair value area. I call it the fair value area or the liquidity. And the first thing you need to do is understanding the bias of the market. Where is the liquidity in the market? Where are we currently at the market? And one thing I always use to understand the bias of the market on gold is what I called the order flow legs. People call it printing of money, right? But this is order flow leg. So which means that the moment market, let me join that one. The moment market breaks this particular low here, from this high from this high to this low before market retrace back is what you call another flow leg. I will go very deep in other videos on every aspect of the order flow leg, because order flow leg itself is a subtopic itself that needs to be studied. So the moment what qualifies this order flow leg is that market must have a fair value gap. That's what qualifies it. So there's a fair value area, there's fair value gap, there's SP. So but that's for later on, right? So whenever I see another flow legs, I know that market is going to retrace back into the range, then market is going to come back to this low. So this particular low that market is trading off from is my draw on liquidity. So the first thing I look for is I look for an order flow legs. So when I look for another flow legs, and I have to outline where the fair value gap is in the order flow legs. And don't forget, without a fair value gap, an order flow leg is invalid. If there's no fair value gap, for example, no, let's look at this. For example, you can see market break this low, right? So from this high to this low, you can see on this whole range there is no fair value gap. So which means that this is not another flow leg. Do you understand? So that is not another flow leg. Other flow leg must have a fair value gap. If other flow leg has a fair value gap, then it means that it must have a fair value area. So that is the qualifications of other flow legs. We are going to talk about this in other videos, but just to understand, just to show you what I look out, what my framework is, or my models is on gold. So when I found this, it's going to give me a confirmation that okay, market is going to retrace back into the fair value gap. The market is going to sell. Then I'll be a seller from this particular to this low, from this fair value gap to this low. So which means that I want to be a seller from the internal to the external, right? But that's not all. After you know the bias of the market, don't forget I said my bias, I use another fillet. The second thing you need to look out for is what I call the resistance. The resistance is the second component of my model you need to look out for. Resistance, what resistance means is that what are the PDRs? Oh, we are still going to talk about PDRs in other videos, like talking about it in a deep form. But try just to follow me up. What PDRs means is that the point of interest, right? What are the PDRAs that is opposing my fair value gap? I expect market to come into the fair value gap and sell. Now, the question is, what is the PDRA that is opposing me? Like, for example, now I can have a bullish fair value gap here for buy continuation, right? Because there's also another flow legs right there for buy continuation, right? So that is the question. What is the PDRA that is opposing me? So whenever I spot out the PDRA that is opposing me, then I wait for market to what? To disrespect the PDRA that is opposing. That is what they call the resistance. Then at the moment market disrespected it, the new order flow legs being created on the lower time frame is what I called the contest. So the first thing I look out for is the bias. The second thing is the resistance. The third thing is the content. When I have the three things comes together, then the next thing is my entry pattern. I have 4 entry patterns I use: order block, intermediate time high, intermediate time low, reclaim order block. I also have a mitigation block. So these 4 things coming together, it gives what I use for entry pattern, right? But in this video, I'll be making use of intermediate time high, intermediate time low. And for the sake of people just watching this video, what intermediate time high, intermediate time low means is that market is being bullish, right? So the moment market is being bullish, the market was unable to break this high. Then the moment market was unable to break this high, market creates another high, another short high. They break this low. So the moment market break this low here, the fair value gap being created here is for sale. So what it means is that the way it is that a I have a lower high at the right, at the left. I have a lower high at the left, and I also have a lower high at the right, and I have a higher high in the middle. The higher high in the middle shows that is the intermediate time high. I did not expect market to come to an intermediate time high because intermediate time high are the externals of the market, are the externals, or they are the outsiders. They are the outsiders of the market structures. I did not expect markets to come to this high again. So that is why I will take my entry at this fair value gap, then I will sell. So that is my the entry model, right? That is my entry pattern I use. Then I put my stop loss there. Then this is the way I'm going to take it trade to my draw liquidity on the higher time frame. Now let's look at the chart. From all this I've explained, right? All this, I just want to show you guys my entry model. I know every aspect of my entry models is a subtopic. So which means we can go deep into it to explain. And if I will say, okay, let me explain it on this video is going to be very, very long. And I don't want it to be long. So that's why I'm going to just talk about it in a little while. Then I'm going to make a video separate to talk about all the components, then another video to talk about how to put the components together to make it a model, right? So I want you guys to stay with me in this video, and also subscribe on the channel also. Yeah, subscribe so I can also receive the notification when I drop the videos of each component. Okay, now, the first thing I look out for is, don't forget the other full leg. I look out for the draw on liquidity in the market, right? So on this 4-hour chart, the first thing I'm looking for is other full leg. So I can see that um from this high down to this low, market break this low here. So I have another full legs, and there's a fair value gap in the whole range. And people will be like, oh, which fair value gap should we use? Should we use the first one? Should we use the second one? Should we use the third one? No, I have a principles for explaining the fair value gap to use. And don't forget, just stay with me. Just stay with me. So I'm going to use the first one now for market to come back there. Then the next thing I'm looking out for is the resistance. What is going to resist the market? And don't forget, when I look at my resistance here, I saw this fair value gap here. You can see it is a buy fair value gap, expecting that our market should continue the buy, right? So after the resistance, then I'm expecting market to disrespect it. So I go down to a lower time frame to check for 15 minutes. So the moment market respect it and market disrespect it again. So at that particular point, I know I'm very, very bearish. And now you can see we have another intermediate time high, because you have a lower high at the left and a lower high at the right. and a fair value. So we have a lower high at the right too. So this is what defined it to be an intermediate time high. So don't forget my definition of intermediate time high. I say intermediate time high, they are the what? They are the outsiders of the market. I don't expect markets to come to the intermediate time high again, right? So I can also see, okay. So when we have an intermediate time high, this fair value gap here is my entry. So I put my stop loss above this. This place is very risky to put a stop loss, right? So I put my stop loss above this. Intermediate time is a good security. Yeah. So take profits to this low. So the low I was expecting on the 4-hour chart. That's my zero on liquidity. Don't forget how everything started. The first thing is buyer, the second thing is the resistance, the third thing is what is the contest, and the fourth thing is the entry pattern. So you can see market hits that take profit. Even from here, I can actually look at another entry pattern right here. But for the sake of this video, I'll make it short this way. So I'll be dropping other videos on this component. How I'm going to explain it deeply, not just talking about it, just explain it very deeply so that you all can understand every component of the entry model, and we all can be trading it together online. Thank you. And don't forget to share, subscribe, and like. Yeah, if you want videos like this more, yeah, don't forget to give us a subscriber and also like this video. Thank you.